Every great team has a player who defines its era, a figure who stands tall, both literally and metaphorically, at the heart of their success. For Liverpool in the 1960s, that player was Ron Yeats. A towering presence at the back, Yeats wasn't just a defender, he was the foundation of a revolution under Bill Shankly. This is the story of the man who led Liverpool out of the shadows and into an era of dominance. This is the story of Ron Yeats. Ronald Yeats was born on November 15, 1937, in Aberdeen, Scotland, a city known for its harsh weather and even tougher footballers. Raised in a working-class family, Yeats learned early on the value of hard work and discipline. In post-war Britain, the economy was still recovering, and football offered a path for many young men to escape the economic struggles of the time. As a boy, Yeats was obsessed with football, but he didn't initially see it as a career. Instead, he joined the local shipyards as an apprentice, where he learned the kind of grit and determination that would later define his playing style. Standing at 6'2" with a commanding presence, it wasn't long before local clubs began to take notice of the towering defender. Yeats began his professional football career with Dundee United in 1956. Playing in the Scottish League, he developed a reputation for his no-nonsense defending and leadership on the pitch. By the time he was in his early 20s, Yeats had already become one of the most formidable defenders in Scotland, but his true destiny lay south of the border in the city of Liverpool. In 1961, Liverpool Football Club was a sleeping giant, languishing in the second division, far from their future glory. But that was about to change. Bill Shankly, the new manager, had a vision of turning Liverpool into the best team in England, and he needed a leader to build his team around. That leader was Ron Yeats. Shankly signed Yeats for Liverpool in 1961, famously calling him a Colossus. Shankly knew that Yeats, with his imposing stature and leadership skills, could transform the club's fortunes. When Yeats arrived at Anfield, Shankly reportedly told journalists to take a walk around him, emphasising his physical presence. Liverpool in the early 60s was a city on the rise. The economic boom of post-war Britain was giving way to a new wave of optimism, and culturally, Liverpool was at the heart of the world's attention, thanks to the Beatles. Just as the Fab Four were revolutionising music, Yeats and Shankly were about to revolutionise English football. Yeats was immediately made captain, a decision that proved to be pivotal. Under his leadership, Liverpool's defence became one of the most formidable in England. In his first season, Liverpool won promotion to the First Division, setting the stage for what would be one of the most dominant periods in the club's history. With Yeats leading from the back, Liverpool quickly established themselves as a force in the First Division. In the 1963-64 season, just 2 years after promotion, Yeats captained Liverpool to their first league title in 17 years. His leadership on the pitch was undeniable. He commanded his defence with authority, and his aerial dominance meant that few opponents could get the better of him. Liverpool's style of play under Shankly was built on discipline, hard work and tactical intelligence, values that perfectly suited Yeats. The city of Liverpool was thriving culturally, with Merseybeat music and the Beatles capturing global attention. Football, too, became a source of immense pride for the city. As Liverpool climbed to the top of English football, they were mirroring the city's rise to prominence on the world stage. In 1965, Yeats led Liverpool to one of the most iconic moments in the club's history, their first ever FA Cup victory. Liverpool defeated Leeds United 2-1 in a tense final at Wembley, with Yeats putting in a typically commanding performance. For the Liverpool fans, the sight of Yeats lifting the FA Cup was a moment of triumph, not just for the club, but for the city as a whole. After years of hardship, both on and off the pitch, Liverpool was finally back on top. By the mid-1960s, Liverpool was not just a force in English football, they were making their mark in Europe as well. Under Yeats's captaincy, Liverpool reached the semi-finals of the European Cup in 1965 and the final of the Intercities Fairs Cup in 1966. Although European glory would elude Liverpool during Yeats's tenure, his performances in these campaigns helped establish Liverpool as a European powerhouse. Off the pitch, the 1960s were a time of immense social change. The youth-driven counterculture symbolised by the Beatles was sweeping across the Western world, and football was becoming more than just a sport. It was becoming part of the cultural fabric of the time. Yeats, with his working-class roots and no-nonsense style, embodied the values of this era: resilience, leadership, and a refusal to back down. Yeats' leadership on the European stage was particularly important. He wasn't just a physical presence, he was a tactical leader, organising his defence with precision and using his intelligence to outwit the opposition. His ability to command respect from both his teammates and his opponents made him one of the most respected captains in football. By the late 1960s, Yeats was still a key figure at Liverpool, but the team was beginning to transition to a new generation of players. Shankly's rebuild continued, and while Yeats's influence remained, younger players were being brought in to sustain Liverpool's dominance. In 1970, after nearly a decade of service, Yeats played his final game for Liverpool. During his time at the club, Yeats had made over 450 appearances, leading Liverpool to 2 league titles, an FA Cup, and several deep runs in Europe. His departure marked the end of an era for Liverpool, a time when the club, under his leadership, had gone from second division obscurity to the top of English football. Liverpool, as a city, was also undergoing change. The optimism of the 1960s was giving way to economic uncertainty in the 1970s. Unemployment was rising, and the once thriving industrial sectors were in decline. But through it all, Liverpool Football Club remained a source of pride, with Yeats' legacy as a key part of the club's history. After leaving Liverpool, Yeats continued his football career with Tranmere Rovers, where he served as player manager. His love for the game and his leadership skills made him a natural fit for management, but it was his connection to Liverpool that would define the later years of his career. After his playing days were over, Yeats returned to Liverpool in a new role, becoming the club's chief scout. His eye for talent helped bring in a new generation of players, ensuring that Liverpool's success would continue long after he had hung up his boots. Yeats' deep knowledge of the game, combined with his connection to the club's history, made him an invaluable part of the Liverpool family well into the 21st century. By the 1980s and 90s, football had changed. The rise of television broadcasting and the increasing commercialisation of the game meant that football was now a global phenomenon. But Yeats, ever humble, remained focused on his role behind the scenes, helping to shape the future of the club he had once led so proudly. Ron Yeats wasn't just a great defender. He was a leader, a symbol of Liverpool's rise to greatness, and a player who helped lay the foundations for the club's future success. His leadership both on and off the pitch made him one of the most important figures in Liverpool's history. For Liverpool fans, Yeats will always be remembered as the Colossus who led the team to their first major trophies under Bill Shankly. His towering presence and commitment to the cause made him a hero on the Kop, and his legacy continues to inspire new generations of Liverpool players and supporters. In many ways, Yeats represented the best of football during an era of transformation, hard-working, humble, and always focused on the team. He was the kind of player who defined what it meant to be a captain, and his impact on Liverpool Football Club will never be forgotten. Ron Yeats, Liverpool's Colossus, Shankly's captain, and a man who helped transform a club into a dynasty. Thank you for watching the story of one of football's most towering figures. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and let us know your favourite Ron Yeats moment in the comments below. Stay tuned for more stories of football's greatest legends.